Hey guys, and welcome back to Regrexit. Brexit, England, Northern Ireland, and Eastern Europe. And this is a coronation special. As special as it goes. You know, these people, it really amazes me how these people expect praise. Right? After being born, right, to the most privileges someone, anybody could be born. No wonder they actually believe in magic, because the Queen on over her coffin, she's got a wand on her coffin when they buried her, right? Because these people really do believe in magic. Because I mean, if you was in that position, right, you think to yourself, you know something, right? I have all of this, and there are people in this world, in this country, who have absolutely nothing. In fact, some of the people that he's ruling over, right, are going to food banks. I'm sure some of the people, yeah, that are down at the mall right now are people who go to food banks, or people who can't afford to pay their utilities. You know, can barely afford to feed themselves, right? And some of them might even be working 40 or 50 or 60 hours a week, and they can barely, put food on the table, but they'll be down at the mall, right? But for me, I just look at this family as, you know what? These people are colonialists, because all of those, all that jewelry has been stolen. It's been stolen from all over the world, and you've got people from those parts of the world over here praising. Anyway, look, today is Prince Charles. King Charles is. It's the sparkly hat day. And I mean, when you look at the ceremony, yeah, the ceremony. I mean, it is really. It's really out there. Do you know what I mean? That's what you can say about it. It's really out there. But you know something, yeah? I, for one, have absolutely really just no interest, right, in people that was just, born so wealthy, right? They're more wealthy than God himself, right? And what amazed me, right, in the ceremony, they said that Prince Charles has been anointed, right, by God to govern over us. Right? All right. Oh, to govern over us? Yeah, to govern over us. They always tell us, oh, he's got no power. But you try and go down there today, right, as a Republican. They've already arrested the Republicans' ass already. They've already just arrested them straight away. Because you can't even protest the fact that you're ruled over. You say, you know what? He has no power, right? And of course, you're living in a democracy, so you can protest if you want, but just don't protest. Welcome back to By Any Means Necessary. Thank you so much for all your messages. A special thanks to everybody who signed up to my channel. I feel so blessed with so much people that signed up, so thank you so much for that. I'll go for all your messages. I'll answer as many as I can, but I will like all your messages for definite. And we're going to go over and we're going to start in America. Because in the US of A, the Proud Boys have been found guilty of sedition, a seditious conspiracy. They have been found guilty of that, right? Which carries a really hefty sentence. And I mean, with all the other stuff as well that they've been found guilty of, right? And I mean, the leader, Enrico and Dario, right? He wasn't even there. They're still, but yeah, I saw a video of all of these guys meeting in a shady car park, right? And Dario was there, so that's what they've pushed on them. I mean, so while these guys, yeah, a lot of them have been in prison since January the 7th or January the 8th. So from back then, when the day after, or or a couple of days after, or a couple of weeks after, but that's when they've been in prison from, a lot of these guys, right? And now, with this conviction, yeah, a lot of these guys, they're probably going to die in prison, because some of them can get up to 50 years, right? So I mean, their only hope here is that Donald Trump, who is, I don't know, he might be back in America now, because he was in Scotland and in Ireland, and he didn't get a great reception, but right, he would tell you that his reception was absolutely fantastic, but that's from all the people who work for him, right? But yeah, so Donald Trump, who's actually still obviously in Mar-a-Lago, right, while they're in correctional facilities. You know, these guys just really make me laugh. Do you know what I mean? The way how they, right, have gone and put themselves in this, right, and and the amount of prison time they're going to get now, right, while Donald Trump, right, hasn't, whether or not he's going to be charged, because there's a good chance here that Donald Trump is going to be charged with, with some of this as well. And, I mean, the DOJ are going to be trying to get information out of these guys as to whether or not they can link Donald Trump directly to the Proud Boys or anything like that, or to the Oath Keepers or to the 3%ers, because I think the Oath Keepers as well got done for sedition as well, so found guilty of that as well. So these are very, very, very serious charges, right? And for me, it's just like how they've worked all around, right? And so far, right, still Donald Trump, hasn't had a whiff of being charged with this yet. And I mean, you've got to charge him with it, because he was there, and I remember his final words: "You've got to fight like hell," right? And I don't know, right? I do know that if I had 100 black guys behind me, right, and then I was the person who they said, and we heard him say, "You've got to fight like hell," I know that I would be charged, right, as one of the main people, right, who led the charge to the fight, right? I know that's a fact, right? They would use those very words and say, "Well, what did you mean by that then? You got to fight like hell." But for some reason, Donald Trump can use these words, and they're just like, "Well, yeah, but did he really mean? Did he really mean to go and do that?" But the Proud Boys, I'm very pleased that they was found guilty, because I think they really, really, deserve it. Because these guys was especially Ontario, because he's the one who went to the church and took down the Black Lives Matter flag and burnt it. And you say, what, you can go and do that at a church, but come and do that on road to Man on Road, and then see what the difference is. Do you know what I mean? You can go to a church and and go and do that. Do you know what I mean? Because there's probably going to be a load of old people and women there. Do you know what I mean? Who can't defend themselves against a load of Proud Boys. Do you know what I mean? But come and try that with the Mandem and then see what happens. But let's move back over to England, because unfortunately for Rishi Sunak, he's just finding out that he is the elephant, the big pink elephant in the middle of the room that everybody's avoiding. Everyone's just walking around and oh. Because it's like, they must think the elephant's going to bite. Do elephants bite people? Or do they just stomp you to death? So I think they just stomp you to death. But anyway, right, Rishi Sunak has had a real taste, right, of what it's like to be the first Prime Minister of colour in this country. Because, although he's been telling you that, about what the country's priorities are, right, and they say, well, actually, to be honest, you have no clue what the country's priorities are, because the country's priorities are for you to walk left and get the fuck out of Downing Street. That's what the country's priorities are. But he's been going on his little boats and all that, right? But what really got me is how Labour stung him the other week, and all the media could come out and they just had to come out and just try and trash Labour over it, because Suella Braverman and Rishi Sunak decided, what we're going to do, right, is we're going to brand, right, all men from Pakistan, right, as child molesters or paedophiles or whatever you want to call them. We're going to brand them all. Rishi Sunak must have forgot that these men look like him, because he's from India. Right? India and Pakistan, the same country, really, right? So he's forgot that these men actually look more like him than anything else. So Labour have put his face on a poster saying Rishi Sunak doesn't think that paedophiles should get locked up. Right? I was just crying. I was absolutely crying with laughter, because something, for him to actually try and use Asian men in this way. It's like forgetting that he's an Asian man, because you know what? He's thinking to himself, well, you know what? If I do this, right, then, those same ERG, that's the English racist group within the Tory party, right? Those ERG, right, are going to be like, but oh no. All now, yeah, the ERG's they're just stabbing him straight in the back, because he's lost, at last count, it was up well over 1,000 seats, council seats that he had lost, right? And the last time the Tories lost, the last time these seats was up, they lost something like 1,300. Right, but this time they've lost and again they've lost over 1,000. So I don't even know if they've got any councils left that they're controlling. But but the only thing you can say is that the Tories took a real good shellacking. And the strange thing is, right, all their voter fraud, right, nonsense ID that they're trying to come up with, it looks like it might have backfired on them. But we won't know the actual true figures, right? Where they said, where it's only about 5 or 6 people, right, that got caught out doing some type of voter fraud in this country, right? But they suppressed much more votes than that yesterday. They suppressed a lot more than that, because they suppressed because a lot of them, because they had people standing outside some of the offices saying to people, well, if you haven't got the a photo ID, then you can't vote. Okay, so that person doesn't go inside. So now that number's not counted. So it's all of this gerrymandering that they're doing, right? And obviously gerrymandering, right? It's fraudulently, right, trying to stop people from voting, right? And that's what they've been doing. And they're obviously doing it in America, but they're trying it over here. But it doesn't seem to, as I said, it doesn't really seem to have worked that too well for Rishi Sunak. But I think Rishi Sunak, right, is finding out that everyone who's been avoiding the elephant in the room, now they can point and say, it's because you're a bloody Asian, pal, why this has happened, right? It's got nothing at all, right, to do with the Labour Party. I mean, the Labour Party is, they're benefiting off of this, right? But believe me, right, this is the Tory party imploding. Right? This is not people going over to Keir Starmer, because every single person knows, right, that all Keir Starmer wants to do is manage, in a slightly better way, what the Tories are doing. That's all he's coming across with. He's not coming across with anything special, anything new, right? He's got rid of all of Corbyn's, previous agenda. So he's not coming across with anything special, anything new. So all he's going to come along and do is just try and manage this, but just in a complete different way. So it's not people who have gone over to Labour, right? This is much more, right? The Tories, right, have just completely destroyed themselves. And I'm actually hoping what happens to them now, yeah, is the same thing that happened to the Liberals, right? Because back in the day, yeah, because the Liberals used to form governments back in this country, right? So I'm hoping that the Tories lose so many seats, right, that it might just be, right, Labour and the Liberals as the two biggest parties, and the Tories just on 30 or 40 seats. That would be absolutely ideal for them to never ever get in power again, because they really don't deserve to ever be in power again, because the amount of destruction that they've done to this country. And I'll tell you this, right? A guy phoned the radio yesterday. Look at me, I'm already well over the time. But a guy phoned the radio yesterday and he said, oh, look, Jeremy Corbyn wanted to give everybody free broadband. I just thought to myself, really? And me already, I like to do the thing what the dogs do with the head as a... Because I just thought to myself, the irony of these people, right? This is a guy, right, who will say to you, oh, well, Jeremy Corbyn wanted to give everybody free broadband, while the government is paying everybody's utility costs, or a great bulk towards it, and then they're giving people checks of £300, but for a cost of living crisis. So, I mean, the irony, these people don't understand. You know what these people don't understand? They don't understand socialism, That's what it is. Even though when socialism's playing out to them, they'll be like, oh yeah, but he's a socialist. Even when it's playing out to them, they'll still point and say he's a socialist. And one more story, yeah, because this was very funny. Yesterday on a tube train, the people then was trying to break out the glass because you know what? A lot of smoke come into the carriage on one of the underground trains, right? And so they tried to break out the windows. And like, I'll just tell you this, right? You ain't breaking a window on on a tube train, right, or a train. You ain't breaking one of those windows. Unless you got yourself a good sledgehammer or something like that. You ain't budging that window. But these people trying to break out the window, right? But of course it wasn't smoke. It was actually brake dust, right? You know, obviously, brake dust from the... But sometimes that does happen and it all comes into the carriage and it will fill the carriage with like thick smoke, right? And it does appear like there's a fire. So when I tell you these people was frantically trying to, but you know something, yeah, before you've got a chance to break that out, someone will come on there and say, excuse me, it's brake dust. Anyway guys, look, I've got to wrap this up because I'm 5 minutes over and I shouldn't have done this on what's that, 6 minutes over, but I shouldn't have done that on a coronation special. Coronation special. Anyway guys, this is by any means necessary. I'm the MC John Ribs. It was really nice to speak to you guys. Comments below.